As we head to Flow News 24, and John McDonnell, who writes for us, says defence is a lifeline for manufacturing. Australia's manufacturing base has shrunk over the past decade. The COVID pandemic revealed how vulnerable we are when supply chains are cut off from the global sector. We had to scramble to find protective equipment and respirators, but it also showed how resilient we were. As manufacturers innovated to solve the problems created by supply shortages, Australians can make anything when the cost is not an issue. In response to the crisis in manufacturing, the government introduced the Modern Manufacturing Initiative, which built on the priorities identified by the CSIRO as part of the framework report. It was titled COVID-19 Recovery and Resilience: Opportunities for Australia to Leverage Science and Technology to Support Economic Recovery and Resilience. This report highlighted specific areas for governments and their emphasis, including a focus on long-term value-add smart job creation and investment opportunities to help stimulate the Australian economy in the post-COVID world. Now, these key areas did include agriculture and food, energy, health, mineral resources, manufacturing and digital and high technology industry. The core of the Prime Minister's Modern Manufacturing Initiative strategy is shifting not only the public dialogue but equally the government dialogue on investment versus intervention and subsidies to leverage government co-investment across 6 key priority areas where Australia is deemed to have competitive advantages. Prime Minister Morrison said during his National Press Club address on manufacturing, "We make things in Australia. We do it well. We need to keep making things in Australia, and under our plan, we will." Manufacturing employs around 860,000 Australians, and prior to the pandemic, it generated more than $100 billion in value for our economy each year, and over $50 billion in exports. The overarching objective of our modern manufacturing strategy is to build scale and capture income in high-value areas of manufacturing, where Australia has either established competitive strength or emerging priorities. The problem is that to get manufacturing going in Australia, there has to be markets willing to take our high-priced products and funders willing to take the investment risk. John writes that the defence sector is one of these few areas where these preconditions exist. The government has argued that it would augment the funding with a provision of $1.3 billion by way of financial support. But there are some large-scale investors in the defence sector in the form of the major contractors. There is a ready-made market with the large-scale defence contracts that are underway at the moment. The defence portfolio has been conscious of the need to increase national sovereignty in the defence sector. To these ends, it has introduced the Defence Sovereign Industry Plan, Naval Shipbuilding Plan, and the government's commitment to building Australian industry capability. To boost the defence sector has created unrivalled opportunities for manufacturing industry in Australia. However, there is one major limitation on the prospects for growth, and that is the supply of skilled labour. At the moment, it is difficult to recruit workers from offshore, and the movement of engineers and project managers between Australia and places like Europe is difficult at this time. Noted economic writer David Uren, now a fellow at the US Studies Centre, is sceptical about whether the manufacturing sector can recover. He says the government will have to do a lot more planning for its initiative to work, and among these things that we'll need to do is to significantly increase the skills of the workforce. I think that goes right across the board into regional areas, and the circumstances surrounding further defence manufacturing and jobs in that industry, where we're going to see a shortage of skilled workers when you take on, say, a bigger project at the Submarine Corporation in Adelaide, and those people that have got the skills to join that project at those high-level government wages are simply going to be drawn from out of other industries and potentially create a real vacuum in making things in our regional areas where we desperately need the workforce.